This is Trucker Confessions. Buckle up. I want to tell y'all something about this job nobody warns you about when you sign up for it. It ain't just driving. Half of what I do is babysit somebody else's money down the highway and pray nothing in the back of my trailer goes bad before I get it where it's going. That's exactly what almost happened to me. Outside of town I know entirely too well. I'm hauling frozen shrimp this run, 20-some pallets of it, bound for a distributor 2 states over. And the fridge on the back of my trailer, the one keeping all that shrimp from turning into a science experiment, starts throwing a warning light at me like it's trying to get my attention. Temperatures creeping up slowly, then not so slowly. Now, if that thing quits all the way, I'm not having a bad day. I'll be having a bad month. A blown load like that comes straight out my own pocket. Only place close enough to get it looked at is a little town I've rolled through more times than I care to count. Could have been worse, honestly. At least I know where the good coffee's at. See, small towns like this one, they'll either run you off or they'll adopt you. Ain't much in between. This one adopted me a few years back, mostly on account of one woman who decided she liked me before she decided anything else about me. In a place with one stoplight and a whole lot of opinions, a gay black trucker stopping through regularly and never once catching a bad attitude for it. That's a rare currency. And that's Odessa's doing. More than mine. Diner's exactly the same as it's always been. Same bell over the door, same cracked red vinyl on the stools, same bacon grease smell that's probably older than me. And behind the counter, the same woman who's been feeding me since before I had gray coming in on my chin. Odessa takes one look at me and skips hello entirely, says,
"Trailer breakdown again, or you just missing my cooking?"
I said, "Little of both, Miss Odessa." She's already pouring my coffee before I sit all the way down. That's the kind of place this is. That's the kind of woman she is. Now Odessa's about the only person on my whole truck route who's known me long enough to ask me things I don't want answered. She's wiping down the counter, not even looking my way, and she goes,
"You call your mama lately?"
See, Odessa doesn't do small questions. She opened the whole damn door and just waits to see if you'll walk through it. And I do the only thing I know how to do with a question like that. Smile real big and change the subject. I said, "You still make that peach cobbler on Fridays?" She looked at me for a long second. Long enough, I knew she caught exactly what I did. Long enough, she let me get away with it anyway. This one time. Odessa's good like that. She lets you run when you need to run. She just makes sure you know she saw you do it. Then quietly wiping down a mug that was already clean, she says,
"Had a boy come through here a couple weeks back. Drove one of them shiny rigs. Called himself Ghost. Asked about you before he even knew your name good."
I damn near choked on my own coffee. Didn't have time to take that in, though, because that's when Pee-wee came busting out the kitchen with a rack of dishes, looking like summer break got legs in a job application. Early 20s, maybe. Apron half-tied. Grin like he ain't never had a bad day in his whole short life. He had been staring at me since I walked in like I was the new exhibit at the zoo. Odessa catches him looking at me, swats him with a dish towel, tells him to go restock napkins. However, he does not go restock napkins. He comes and plants himself at my end of the counter instead, asking me 100 questions about the truck, about life on the road, about anything that'll keep him standing near me a little longer. He was clumsy about it, and obvious, and somehow that worked in his favor. He also happened to be built exactly the way I like my mistakes. 15 minutes later, we're out back by the dumpster, and he's on his knees giving me some of the sloppiest, most enthusiastic hand fist rotation with his mouth I've had in recent memory. I appreciated the effort more than I probably should have. Fixed his shirt collar after, told him to go restock them napkins for real this time, and walked back inside feeling like the man I've always been. I stopped being that man real quick, because sitting right there at my usual stool at the counter, like he'd been waiting on me the whole time, was motherfucking Ghost. Same grin from the shoulder off Interstate 40. Same way of looking at me like he already knows the ending of whatever story I'm fixing to tell him. He said, "Small world for a man with 100,000 miles on his truck." I said, "Who, you following me now?" He said, "Nah, I'm not following you. Same freight lanes. Same bad luck as you, maybe. Odessa didn't say a word, just poured him a coffee too, and gave me a look over his shoulder that said plainly, "I told you so." We ended up out back a while later. Me waiting on the mechanic, him waiting on nothing in particular. Except me. He pulled a pack of cigarettes out his shirt pocket. I told him those things were going to kill him. He said, "Probably." He lit one anyway, and just held it out to me. Like the sharing was just what you did with somebody you'd already given yourself to on the side of a highway once. I don't smoke, haven't in years. But when a man as fine as Ghost offers you something, you take it. We passed it back and forth out there in that parking lot, and for a man who talks as much as Ghost does, he got silent all of a sudden. Then he told me he's been driving since he was 19. Said his daddy drove 30-some years before him, and trucking's the only family business he ever wanted a piece of. Said the name Ghost wasn't even his idea. Some dispatcher hung it on him years back, on account of he'd show up out of nowhere and be 3 states gone before anybody caught his name properly. Said he kept the name because it fit him too well to argue with. I didn't say much back, didn't have to. The man basically just told me his whole life runs on the same rule I live by. Ain't that some shit? When the mechanic finally waved me over to tell me my trailer was fixed and ready to roll, neither one of us said anything right away. Now I don't know what surprised me more, that I was standing in a parking lot sharing a conversation with a man I only know from one wild night off a New Mexico shoulder, or that, for the first time since I got my trucker's license, I did not want to be the one who left first. Turns out, staying put gets a whole lot harder when the one thing you can't outrun is standing right next to you, holding your cigarette. Y'all know where to find me. Same road, new trouble, next episode.